Hello, good evening everybody. Welcome to this OK Clarity presentation. We're going to be talking tonight about dating decision anxiety. Let's just give it a minute or so to see if people are on, and then we will begin. Okay, I see people are joining. I'll give people another 30 seconds or so, and then we are going to begin. Okay, so welcome everybody. Tonight we're going to be talking about dating, shidduchim, and dating decision anxiety specifically. So I want to start by just talking a little bit about how hard dating is. Dating is not easy. Most people who are joining tonight, I imagine, are in shidduchim and trying to find a partner, and have been told on more than one occasion that they should stop being so picky. I don't know if anybody wants to wave and acknowledge that, but I'm sure at least a few people here have definitely been told, stop being so picky. How does that make you feel? Probably not great. People have also, I'm sure, been told, stop being so commitment phobic, you're scared of commitment, when I imagine most people here are not scared of commitment. They're scared of committing to the wrong person. And dating is really hard. There's a lot of pressure from family members, from friends, from society, from your community, and maybe internal pressure, maybe certain age dates or whatever it is. And it's really, really difficult. And being told that you're picky and commitment phobic and just need to settle down and pick somebody, that is the last thing that you need. I'm talking to you tonight from both personal and professional experience. I dated for 9.5 years before I met my wife, not the same person. I was in shidduchim for a while before that. And I definitely can relate to these pressures. So I want to just reassure you tonight that my goal here is not to make you settle down and just pick anybody, and get over your anxiety and move forward. My goal here is to help you get comfortable and excited with the person that you're going to hopefully be spending the rest of your life with, and to reassure everybody that you're not going to get engaged or married to somebody that you're not emotionally connected, attracted with, and excited by. The question is going to be how we can get there, because a lot of people are experiencing all kinds of blockages, and we want to see if there are any skills and tools that we can use to get there. Okay. So let me paint a couple of scenarios. You go out on a date, and you know it's clearly not for you. Hashkafically, your values don't align up. Something just off about their personality. You're not attracted to them. You clearly know this person isn't for you. If that is the scenario, I want you just to ignore it and move on. It's clearly not for you. There's no point continuing. Don't try to force yourself to go out or to please the shadchan or anybody else. That's it. It's done. But I want to talk about two other common scenarios, which is when you go out, you have a great time with somebody, you go out a few more times, it's great, but then there are one or two issues that really get in the way and are really bothering you, and the pressure's building up and you're just not sure what to do. That's a second scenario. A third scenario is when you go out, things are okay, nothing wrong, nothing good, it's just blah, just, a little bit, not boring, not exciting, it's okay. Everyone is telling me he's such a great guy, she's such a great girl, just continue going out. And you're just not really feeling anything. Now, you should keep going, as everybody says, because what's wrong with you? This is a great person, it would make a great partner, let's carry on. Again, the problem with that is the internal pressure keeps building, and you feel stressed, you feel anxiety. I don't know if this person is for me. I can't really end it, I can't really continue forward, so what do we do? Okay, so let's talk a little bit about a couple of suggestions and solutions over here. Of course, when we're dealing with anything to do with dating, individual circumstances have to be taken into account. I'm giving very generalized rules over here. Each person should talk to their own therapist or advisor or person they seek counsel with, because circumstances, of course, can vary. But my goal here tonight is to see how we can take some pressure off. The pressure of making decisions. The truth is that the goal here is not clarity and 100% certainty. Our goal is comfort. The people who you hear about, they say they got engaged and they just knew from the first moment they met their person that this was their person they're going to spend the rest of their life with. The truth is, usually they were a lot younger, and it's usually more to do with their personality. How people make decisions in general can affect how they feel about making a huge decision like the kind of person you're going to spend the rest of your life with. So our goal here is not to say we want 100% clarity or certainty. Our goal here is comfort. And many people struggle with this on dates. We're going out, we're not sure what to do. And in fact, a lot of people here, you don't have to raise your hand if you don't want to acknowledge this, but a lot of people here, I imagine, are very good daters. And by that I mean they go out, they have a good time, they make sure the other person is having a good time, and they're very careful to say the right things, to make sure the other person is feeling okay. But they lose themselves and they don't know how they're feeling. So my goal here tonight is to talk a little bit about how we can become more present in our relationships and how we can kind of dull that noise of the pressure really from other people, whether it's family members, whether it's a shadchan, whether it's your own internal pressures, and to see how we can take the pressure off having to make some of those decisions. Okay, so the first simple solution here, and this is really, really important, is when you're faced with any kind of decision that needs to be made immediately, ask yourself the question, does this have to be made immediately? So much of the pressure that we feel with dating is this need and urgency to answer everything that's going on internally and externally immediately. And the first thing I want to suggest here is let's take a break from this pressure to make a decision now. Imagine if we're having a conversation, and just as we're having it, I tell you, tell me about your weekend, you're talking about your weekend, and I say, 2 minutes into how's this conversation going for you? Are you enjoying this conversation? What's it been like for you? Can you see us extending this conversation and talking for another hour tonight? You'd be like, whoa, I'm just trying to have a conversation with you. Just give me a break. Let me enjoy it. So the problem with dating, and I think this obviously depends on your circles and depends on how you are dating. But one of the issues here is that there's this tremendous pressure after each date, which is often not so subtle from other people. How did it go? How do you feel? Do you like this person? Can you spend the rest of your life with this person? Here you are, you're going out on a casual date, trying to have a good time. And at the back of your mind, sometimes at the front of your mind, there's this question knocking on your head saying, is this the person for me? Am I going to spend the rest of my life with this person? And when you get home from the date, maybe your friends or family are saying, no, is this the one? How was it? And even if they're polite and nice about it, and they may say something like, no pressure at all, but really there's a lot of pressure there. Is this your person? So my first suggestion for everybody is if you've gone out with somebody once or twice, and it's pleasant, there's something about them that you are interested in. Again, I'm not talking about the first category where you're clearly not into them at all. There's no point wasting anybody's time. Just move forward confidently. If this is clearly not for you, I would move on, unless there's certain themes or red flags that keep coming up again and again. We may want to explore those. But in general, if it's clearly not for you, move on. But I'm talking about if you're with somebody for a few times, you've gone out on a few dates and things are okay, but you're not sure. And you're starting to feel this pressure of what do I do? Everybody feels stress, anxiety physically in their body. People feel it in different places. Personally, when I'm stressed, the first thing that happens is my chest starts to tighten up. A lot of people will feel tension in their head, their neck, their back, their shoulders, nausea in their stomach. Some people have a hard time breathing, all kinds of things, dizziness, all kinds of physical symptoms. So when we're feeling these overwhelming symptoms, we want to take a step back and try to take that pressure off. Can I try to tell myself, I'm not going to have to make a decision tonight. My goal right now is not clarity or certainty. Just like if I'm having a conversation with you, I can't analyze the conversation. That will lead to analysis paralysis. I won't go anywhere. What we want to do is we want to see if we can take some pressure off having to make a decision. So whatever time period that is, whether that's 1 week, 3 dates, 2 weeks, whatever it is, I always encourage couples who are going out to give yourself a set time frame where during that time frame, you're not talking about the date. If there's enough about this person that you're interested in and warming up to, then give it a go, whether that's 2 dates or 3 dates. If you have somebody else involved who's checking in and seeing how you both are doing, whether it's a shadchan or a friend or anybody else, I would encourage you to ignore them as much as you can for a couple of dates. And even with talking things through with friends and seeing how did I feel about that, it's very hard to build an emotional connection with somebody when you're constantly analyzing in the brain what's happening and how you're feeling about somebody. Now again, I want to reiterate, if you are not excited and comfortable and attracted to the person that you're with, you are not going to get engaged or get married to this person. We're talking about those initial stages because just like if you're stressed and somebody tells you, just relax, just don't worry about it. Or if you're trying to go to sleep and you're worrying about something and you're saying, go to sleep, it's going to have the opposite effect. So when you're with somebody and you're trying to analyze in your mind, is this person right for me? Are they not right for me? It's too much pressure. So whatever time period that we can do to extend the decision of having to know if this is the right person or not, that's what we want to do. 2 dates, 3 dates, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks is honestly ideal. I think at least 3 dates. It just takes the pressure off because people often go into a date saying, you know what, I'm going to go out one more time. And after this one time, I'm going to have all the clarity that I need. And we don't. We just don't get the clarity because there's too much pressure on that one date. And our goal on that date, when we are going out, not that one date, that 2-3 dates, is to be as present as we can. Your mind will play all kinds of tricks on you, will have all kinds of fears and phobias. That's totally fine. Let it do its thing, but try to give it a couple of dates. Now, the goal here is not to say after those 2-3 dates, whatever it is, or a few weeks, that then you have to commit to this person. Absolutely not. Now, people say, I see a question here, which I'm going to get to some questions hopefully later about attraction growing after marriage. But no, if you're repulsed by somebody, absolutely not. You should not be going out on another date with them. But if you're just, not into them necessarily too much, but you're not turned off by them in any way, then the goal here is to get to know them, to see if you can get more comfortable. If we're able to focus on the date, not focusing on making sure they're having a good time, we need to be a little bit selfish here, ultimately for everybody else's good. We can't be worried about hurting them. We can't be worried about what our family will say, what our friends will say. Of course, we want to be immense and be respectful. And we have to be careful about leading people on. But in the long term, this is going to be the best for the relationship. I'm not talking forever. I'm talking about a few dates over here. I see this person has asked me that. I definitely do not agree that we have to focus on attraction coming after marriage. There has to be a certain base level of attraction in the relationship. It doesn't have to start immediately. It can grow, but we want to take that pressure off. The pressure off, by the way, even internally. If you're feeling overwhelmed in the middle of a date, take a break. Go to the bathroom. I also tell people, get moving. There's something about just sitting across from somebody else and having a coffee that's a little bit of pressurized situation. It can be a bit awkward sometimes. So if you're feeling calm and relaxed and you just want to have a chat and have a tea or coffee, that's totally fine. But I usually recommend if people are feeling overwhelmed, get moving. Go for a walk, go do something. And then at the end of an activity, you can sit down and have a conversation when you're both more comfortable. But the goal here, like I said, is to take the pressure off having to make a decision immediately. Give yourself a few dates. And the goal in those few dates is to just gently see how you feel. Now, in that period of time, let's call it a 2 to 3 week period, I want you to start to write down, identify what are your fears about dating this person, and noticing also if you have any themes in general that keep coming up. And be really specific about what you're worried about. And this can be anything, things that you think are not valid, that are valid. This could be worrying that I'm going to be with somebody who's going to turn out to be really argumentative, and I'm going to have huge arguments in my house. This could be I'm worried that the person I'm with doesn't appreciate my learning or the things that are important to me. This could be worried that I'm not going to be that attracted to them, or maybe I'll meet somebody else after I get married that I think is more attractive, or somebody that I'll be a better fit with. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. I want you to write it down and be really specific. If it's a hashkafa issue, a values or outlook perspective, write it down. This person won't be able to appreciate what specifically about me. What will this look like in my home if I have XYZ that doesn't match up? And I want you to read them. Just gently, we're not trying to force anything. I want you to try to sit with that. The idea that every person is a package is crucial. We tend to think I just have to find the person and then I'll know that I won't have any issues. Now, intellectually, we all know this. We all know that people are imperfect, and we know that everybody has imperfections. But we want to get comfortable feeling the imperfections in a relationship. If you're with somebody, there's going to be this set of issues. The person will have all these kinds of wonderful traits, and you'll connect with them in this path. It's not about finding the right person. It's often about making the person you're with right. Now, like I said, you are not getting engaged or married to anybody you're not emotionally connected, excited by, and attracted to. But very often the analysis, the constant questioning, that can block feelings from coming. So once we've turned off the switch of having to make a decision immediately, we want to just go out, see how we feel around them, do things with them. It can be whatever it is, activities, it can be walking, but just sitting across from somebody and talking. Maybe if you're very early to dating and you think it could be helpful for you, but I think for most people, we need to get out there. We need to start doing things. They could be small things, taking a walk, looking around what other people are doing an activity. And then when you're both more relaxed, you can start to talk about deeper things. And by all means, get into it. Get into deep questions that you have, but don't do that immediately. Okay, so you're writing down your fears and you're being specific about your worries, and you're trying to get comfortable with those fears. So during the next 2 to 3 weeks that you're going out with this person, your goal is not to say they don't matter. Your goal is to put them into perspective. So what would it feel like for me to be with this person who doesn't appreciate to the nth degree XYZ about me, or who didn't have certain qualities that I was looking for? My personal opinion is that there are very few red flags when it comes to dating. There are some. I'm not saying there are not. There definitely are some red flags. but it's more about how do I connect with this person and what will it look like in my future. Values are crucial. It's important that you talk about your hashkafa, your outlook and your values and the kind of home that you want to build and the kind of things you want to be doing. But I have a secret for you guys. You may change. The person you marry may change. So the goal here is not to get clarity or certainty. The goal here is to get comfortable. And comfortable can mean comfortable saying no, right? When we're so anxious, we can't make a decision either way. And usually the default is if we're so overwhelmed and we don't know what to do, and that anxiety about should I continue, should I not continue, at some point it just comes to a head and we just end up saying no because you can't continue. The goal here is to be able to say no confidently, is to be able to say, I've tried this for a few dates or whatever set time period that we're in, and this isn't a person I'm excited to build a life with. When I talk about excitement, it doesn't have to be head over heels. Very often we're looking for the same excitement that we felt when we were 20. And I'm assuming most people here have been dating already for a couple of years at least. And we're too clever for that now. Once you've already been dating for a few years, you're able to see people's flaws as well as their positive attributes. So the point here is not to say stop being so picky, get over it, just marry anybody. Of course not. Like I said, we have to be excited about the person that we're with and attracted and connected. But the point here is to try to pause some of that analysis paralysis. Try to push off the decision of having to make a decision immediately and see if we can get comfortable seeing the person for who they are as a whole package. If you marry this person, they'll have these issues to work with. If you marry this person, they'll have different issues to work with. Of course, we know this intellectually, but emotionally, we need to feel it. We need to feel that it's okay this person isn't perfect. I think every couple should have a bland, boring date. Typically speaking, the third date seems to always be a make or break. For some people, it seems to be this high-pressured thing. You go out once or twice, and the third date, it's either picks up or it's just really boring. I've seen this a lot with clients where third date, just nothing really is happening. I'm not really feeling anything. And they feel this intense pressure. What do I do? What do I do? So I think it's great for a couple to have a boring date. Now, the point here is not to switch off your mind. Your mind will be analyzing constantly. We want to notice it. Let it be there. Welcome it. Let it come take a seat in the room. Don't try to fight the thoughts or feelings. But just try to realize that's just your mind pumping out all kinds of thoughts and feelings. Your heart pumps blood around your body. One of the functions of your brain is it pumps thoughts. Some of those thoughts you can use to make decisions, and some of them you're just going to notice them and let them be there. Now, of course, if there are certain themes that are coming up again and again and again, we want to try to maybe analyze them with a therapist, perhaps, especially if you have OCD, if there are certain themes that keep coming up. But our goal here is to try to get to a place of comfort. Comfort to move forward or to end things. The other thing I want to talk about is values and your other areas of your life. Anytime we put too much pressure on one area of our life, it's overwhelming. Now, dating and marriage is a really important part of your life. Probably and possibly the most important thing, but it's only a piece. One very important piece, but still a piece. And sometimes we can invest so much pressure on everything about our marriage that we neglect other things. And that's why it's crucial. If you look around at the people around you who are thriving, they don't have one area that they're focused on. They're focusing on their own self-care. They're growing. They're learning. They're working on their career. They're getting involved in the community. Now, we don't have to do everything, but the point here is to take off some of the pressure from the dating piece. We should not be spending all our time thinking about actively involved in shidduchim and dating. We should be engaging in lots of other areas of our life. Think about what's important to us. This can also help us explore our own values that we want to bring into a relationship and values that we want to bring in into all areas of our life. So again, just as a quick summation over here, everybody's been told they're too picky and to just pick somebody because they're scared of commitment. You're not scared of commitment. You're scared of committing to the wrong person. We need to remove the pressure from outside, pressure from other people, from other people's opinion, and also pressure from the other person that we're dating. It's understandable that you want to make sure they're having a good time. It's understandable that you care about them and not wanting to hurt their feelings. But we have to think, like a mensch, in the long term. And of course you want to be respectful, but we have to focus on how you're feeling on the date, not just about how we're making sure they're having a good time. Let's try to take the pressure off having to make a decision immediately and give ourselves a few weeks, a few dates, without the analysis going on. If it happens, let it be there, push it off. Don't talk to the shadchan, don't talk to family members. I'm just going out and having a good time and seeing if I can build something with this person. Can I get more comfortable? Can I start to identify the themes of my fears in a relationship in general and about being with them? Can I start to see it as a whole and start to get a little bit more comfortable? Can I start to appreciate things about them? Can we go out and do fun things together? Can we do boring things together and talk about things and talk about our futures? Of course, midas and character traits are obviously going to be really important, but try to identify the few things that are really important to you, and see if you can get a little bit more comfortable with the package. And that way, if after a few dates or a few weeks, whatever it is that it's been, you feel like nothing has shifted here. I've been trying, and nothing has shifted here. And that's your answer. Then you can break up confidently. Again, if there are certain themes that keep coming up again and again, we may want to explore them privately, in therapy or elsewhere. But the point here is to move forward relatively quickly with confidence. And when I say relatively quickly, I mean, even if you give yourself a couple of weeks to not have that pressure, it can take off so much of it. Okay, any questions that people have? I'm going to leave time for some questions to see if anybody has any questions. I'm happy to respond to a few of them. If not, I'll turn to some of the other questions that I got from the feed. But please feel free to write any questions if you have them now. Okay. A question we got from the OK Clarity community was, when dating for the second time around after divorce, you know so much more from living with a person. How personal can you get? What is acceptable? So there are advantages to dating a second time around because you know a lot about what it means to live with somebody. Of course, it's a lot more challenging as well because you've been through all kinds of experiences, but you should be getting very personable, extremely, but not immediately. It's the same thing. Anytime you're building a relationship, there has to be a foundation. You can't start coming into a relationship on the first night and start talking about your deepest, darkest secrets. In fact, you can. Maybe some people will. Okay, that's fine. I'm saying as a generalization over here. We want to build a foundation. So whether you're dating for the first time around, second time around, it doesn't matter how many times around or how many dates you've been on. The goal here is to be able to, like I said, take that pressure off and build a foundation. Go out with this person. Try to do things with them. Try to find out about them, even if this person is not going to be for you. And let the relationship progress naturally. And when it progresses naturally, then you can start to get more personal and talk about things that are important to you and share things. But there's an appropriate stage for sharing everything. People who share things too quickly get attached too quickly, and then they haven't even seen if this person is right for them. So it's a balance. Of course, we don't want to be too much in our heads and being too cautious about what we share because we want to be present. But of course, we don't want to share everything immediately either. So as a general rule, that's what I would say, is take off that pressure of having to disclose everything immediately, having to feel something immediately. Go out, get to know this person, and get to focus on how you feel when you're with them and take it from there. Okay. Any other questions from the audience? Okay, I'll give it another 30 seconds or so. And then if nobody has any questions, we will end the live. But let me just see if there's any other questions here. Somebody says, what if I've gone out for 2 months and I still haven't felt anything? Haven't felt any shift in either direction. I've been going out with somebody for 2 months. We've gone out multiple dates. So the first thing I would say is ask yourself, have you been putting yourself under too much pressure on each individual dates? Maybe you need to give yourself another couple of weeks or whatever it is to go out. But the other thing I will say is that if it has been this long, again, this long obviously is relative depending on your circles and how many times you've been out and what your expectations are. Maybe that's your answer. If you can't move forward with somebody after spending time with them, getting to know them, being comfortable with them, and your attraction and chemistry and emotional connection should be growing. How much, how fast will depend on the person, but there should be something there that's growing. And if it's not, that's part of your answer. Somebody says, hey, what if the other side isn't okay going slowly? Yeah, that's a risk. That's definitely understandable. People may be on different pages. I think very often it's good to have an open conversation maybe about this and just seeing if there's some kind of middle ground. So if somebody says, you know what, I'm in a rush over here, I need to get married by November. First, I'll just remind them or yourselves, how many times have you set dates in your mind, whether that's a certain age or a certain life event that you feel you have to get married by, and then it passes and you're not. And you're still okay. So take the pressure off having to make a set time come quickly. But I think that's also telling the relationship. You're not telling the other person you're leading each other on. You're giving yourself a certain amount of time. If they're saying, no, we want to move things quickly, and you're not able to move things quickly, again, that's your answer. There's two people in this relationship, so it's not just about what they want. If you're not able to move forward quickly, then the relationship can't move forward quickly. Okay, how do you know if the attraction is growing? So if we are taking the pressure off and we are not trying to ask ourselves after each date, am I attracted to this person, am I not attracted to this person, and we're going out on a few dates, you will know if your attraction is growing or not growing. If you're going out for a few weeks or a few dates, whatever it is, and you're spending time with them, you're doing things with them, you're going to see events, you're talking to people, you're bringing them to people in your community or your friends or your circle that you're close with, and you're not feeling anything with them, that itself is a sign that it's not growing. You will know. The point is you can't force yourself to feel something. Your emotions are often a good indicator of how the relationship is going. Now, sometimes they're not. Sometimes there's fear there's anxiety, there are other things, there's guilt, there's shame that can be masking attraction. But if you are following the right steps and you're being present and you are engaging with the person and you're talking about your values and your hashkafa and your outlook in your life and you're doing things together without analyzing after each date, is this me, is this not for me? Then after a few dates or a few weeks, you will see, you will feel if the attraction is growing or not. So we need to start to get more in touch with our inner selves and see how we respond. Okay. Any other questions here before we wrap up? We have a couple more minutes. Oh, I see another question from somebody else. What happens if you are putting pressure on yourself and you still don't know? It's hard to take the pressure off. Yep, it's definitely very, very hard. So at some point, the not knowing becomes your answer. So like I said, we're not trying to get rid of the thoughts. In fact, it can be very helpful to learn some skills and tools to learn how to manage anxiety in general, how to regulate our emotions. When we're in heightened arousal and stress, we can't make any decision. So we need to get out, go for a walk, do some exercise, do some mindfulness grounding techniques. We need to learn some other skills and tools to manage our emotions in the short term. So we want to get comfortable with the presence of some anxiety, allow it to be there, but after a certain point, if that pressure is still building and we're still not getting any clarity, that is our answer. That's our internal sense telling us this person isn't for me. Okay, how do we deal with family members who are trying to sway our feelings by saying negative things about the person we are dating? Yeah, this is a really big issue, and in my opinion, it comes up a lot. The family members are not marrying this person, potentially. You are. So we can use other people for guidance, but we can never use other people to tell us what to do. Whether that's shadchanim, whether that's we go to any other kind of person. They should be there for advice and for support. But ultimately, it has to be about what you want, not what the person you're dating wants. For the sake of the relationship, you have to focus on you, and you also have to try to ignore as best you can the family members. You can listen to them, but I'm assuming here most people here are older than 21 or 22, 23, and been dating for a couple of years. You want to start to develop that inner self and start to see how you're feeling. Yes, there can be pressure for shadchanim to give an answer right away. I agree, and I personally would talk to shadchanim about this and would say, listen, obviously the first date, you want to get back to somebody. If you're going out 4, 5, 6 dates and you're still dealing with a shadchan, that's something to talk about with the shadchan, right? If things are progressing naturally and you don't mind checking in and things are going okay, great. But if you're both feeling like there's a little bit of pressure here, bring this up with the shadchan. I've spoken to many shadchanim about this. Tell them, I want to try a few dates without analyzing. We're going to go out for a week, a few dates, whatever it is, and then we'll see if we want to continue. So of course, if somebody's expecting an answer or a call from a shadchan, do not wait. You have to speak to them. You have to let them know up front. It has to be something you both agree to, or preferably you talk about from the outset. But okay, I have to go because the time is now running out. There's a lot more to be said. This was a very generalized topic tonight. And yeah, open communication, I agree with that one. We have to learn how to develop our own sense of self over here too, and start to trust our inner selves. And that may be overshadowed with anxiety, and we need to learn how to calm that a little bit. But ultimately, we need to start working on our own inner strength and inner self. Okay, thank you everybody for tonight. And if anybody has any questions, please feel free to reach out via the OK Clarity Forum. There's a lot more to be said, and individual circumstances need to be taken into account, but those are some general principles that I wanted to mention tonight. Okay, have a good night, everybody. Take care.